So good morning, good morning. Um, my thought for you that I've been working with this week is on interconnectedness. And the way I've been saying it is that what that means is being with another being, right? But I came across this quote. It's a Jack Kornfield, little bit of his, and I'm going to start with that. So he says, in Zen meditation, they say there are only two things. You sit and you sweep the garden. And it doesn't matter how big the garden is. As you quiet your mind and listen to your heart, you discover that your spirit will not be satisfied unless you also tend the garden. Add your voice and energy. Plant seeds for a more compassionate future. You can't change it all, but your freedom empowers you to contribute to the world, and your love gives you the way to do so. That last line, I think, is the most important one. So you can't change it all, but your freedom empowers you to contribute to the world, and your love gives you the way to do so. So this concept of the interconnectedness and being with other beings, right? Been merging it with the concept that when we meditate, when we do our practices on our mat, is that there is a huge necessity right now, especially, to be bringing that out into the world with you, to be able to stay in that state of meditation or in that state of compassion, to be able to stay in that state where what you feel for another is not dictated by what your mind says you feel because of them, but is dictated by that energy of the heart that says that I can have love for the experience of another being, even if it is not the same perspective as my own, right? So I've been suggesting that you meditate on another being, and you don't have to start with a person, but to actually sit with the concept of another being, any other being, and try to experience the world inside yourself through their eyes, through their perspective, right? So we're going to start with that, eyes closed. And the whole point, right, is what is the point of meditation, is that it brings you to this underlying space in you that is just that loving energy, that has nothing to do with your mind's desire to categorize, nothing to do with your mind's desire to protect itself, nothing to do with your mind at all. So you're going to a place where there's just this feeling of love for those other beings that exist with you, around you. So pick one. It can be a dog, a cat, a tree. If there is a person that you're inspired to do this with, do it, but people are tricky because your mind will get involved. And I want you to be there with the beingness of them. So not what they mean to you, but what it actually feels like to see the world through their eyes. What do they desire? What do they desire most? Where are the places in the world that they most want to be? What might be their sense of purpose? And just as you are relating to them, you have a concept. How are they relating to you? How do you think you appear to them through their eyes? We are never just touching the world. That's what it means. We tend the garden, the inner garden. At the same time, the world is touching you. So that relationship can either be one that is free-flowing and loving, or it can be one that is narrow and full of challenge, full of conditions. So your practice, your meditation, is to find that level where there's just the love. Be with the beingness of fire sirens. Nothing makes you miss the studio more than that, right? Bring your hands together in front of your heart center, palm to palm. Whatever being you've chosen, or even if you haven't chosen any being to be your focus, is let yourself keep dropping down into that space that is not about your mind and how you feel about things, how you think about things, but that is really just that open acceptance that there are other beings that are touching you through the world the same way that you are touching them. Deep breath in for the sound of Om. And let the eyes float open. Nice, you guys. You can release your hands, please. And then come forward to hands and knees. We'll start with just some cat and cow breathing, inhaling through the spine, lifting the chest, lifting the tail, exhaling, curling, rounding through your ribs, rounding through your lower back. Good. It's funny, we started teacher training last night, and so, those of us who are teachers in teacher training were in the studio, and I'm sitting next to Linda, and there's a mosquito on her face. So I had to save her from the mosquito, of course. And then, you laugh. What do you do as a yogi when you confront a mosquito, right? Do you kill it with, or, what do you do? Can you rescue it? Not really. But the thought process, right, is for various reasons. I've been reading about mosquitoes lately. And if you think about it, the reason mosquitoes bite, the ones that bite, are the females. Why are they biting? Do you ever think about why they bite? They don't do it to be mean, right? They bite, the females bite because they need that blood to feed their young. So what would you do? What have you been willing to do to take care of those that you care about? Can you put yourself in that perspective that the mosquito is not biting you to be mean? So as aggravated as it is to be bitten, you bear no ill will to the mosquito. That's what it means to recognize that interconnectedness and to go to that place where I can just accept what you are. And at the same time, if you being present means that there's a little bit of challenge between us, right? You cannot bite me. That doesn't change that loving space. Good. Come back into that rounded spine, please. Your cat spine, round, round, round. Good. And then in that rounded place, press into your shins a little bit more. And I want you to focus on rolling your inner thighs back and wide. Try and flare your sit bones. So you're actually pulling your sit bones wide away from each other. Good. Yeah. Pull back. So you're even going to move your hips back in space just a tiny bit. Good. So by doing those two things, you should already start to feel that we're getting into that glute area, into that space around your butt. Good. And then start to lift your upper chest forward. So try and keep your low ribs rounded, but pull your armpits back, pull your chest forward. Good. So you're taking the arch out of your spine, but without dropping your ribs. So armpits forward, chest forward, sit bones way, way back. Good. And then tuck your toes and lift your hips. Come into downward facing dog with that same awareness. So as you lift your hips, you're still sending your inner thighs back. You're still not dropping your ribs. So keep that low space of your belly lifted. Keep that low space of your ribs lifted. Good. Inner thighs back, sit bones wide, hug your shins, armpits forward. Nice, you guys. Come up high on the tippy toes of your feet. As you come up on your tippy toes, pull up through your low belly, squeeze your hands and your feet towards each other. Good. And then let your heels soften towards the floor. Nice. One more time like that. Come up on the tippy toes of your feet, squeeze up. Keep the weight towards the big toe mounds of your feet so your shins are hugging in. Those inner thighs roll back and up. You're still pulling those sit bones wide. Good. Squeeze the hands and the feet together. Let your heels drop down towards the floor, but keep the low belly lifted. Nice job. Step the right foot forward between the hands, lunge. Good. Back heel comes to 45 degrees, so step that left foot a little wider to the left if you need. Drop the heel, warrior one. Inhale the arms up to the sky. Good. Ribs turn a little wider to the right. Yeah. Good. Really feel the baby toe of the back foot. So lean forward, take your torso forward, parallel towards the floor. Good. And then really turn your pelvis to spin forward. So your left hip comes forward. That's it. Nice, nice, nice. And then send that inner thigh of the back leg up, up, up. Yes, your butt lifts. Your belly pulls up off of your front thigh. Lisa, move that right knee wider to the right. There you go. Good. Now maintain that, you guys. Belly draws back, ribs back. Take your arms back up, shoulders back up. Come back towards vertical. Good, but that back thigh doesn't collapse. Awesome. Good, you guys. Spin your back heel up. High lunge, please. Take your arms out wide, cactus arms. Good, and then twist to your right. That's it. Inner thigh of the back leg still pulls up. Stretch your arms out to straight, please. Still in that twist. Good, and then reach the left hand down to the floor, right arm to the sky. Do not collapse onto that hand, but actually touch it down. Good. And then while you're there, that left shoulder rolls back and then stack your right rib cage on top. So turn your ribs even more. Push into that left hand. Good. And then release that right hand down to the floor, please. Drop that back knee. Good. Shift back. Left hip on top of left knee. Right heel comes forward, or right leg comes forward to straight. Come up on the heel. Ardha Hanumanasana. Best thing to do before 9 a.m. Take both hands inside the front foot, please. Good. And then walk a little bit more towards that upper left-hand corner of your mat, so away from that front foot. Turn your right toes in a lot. Pull your inner thigh wide, pull your butt wide. Good. And then push your left inner thigh wide as well. So that supporting leg. Try not to let it go all the way with you. Pull that left hip wide. You got it. And then scoop your belly. Drag that right heel down and back, so your knee is not collapsing. Good. And then really round through your back body again. Cat your back. Good. And then with that energy, start to squeeze that right sit bone back and in. Bring your hips back towards square. Let your toes come back up, but keep pushing the inner thighs wide. Good. Keep scooping your belly. Yeah. Nice, you guys. Yeah, one more breath there. Drag the heel back, super engaged. And then walk your hands back in, please. Nice job. Pull that heel back, lift the back knee, downward facing dog. You might see that pose again in this sequence. We'll see. Good. Come up on the tippy toes of your feet. Scoop the belly, squeeze the hands and the feet towards each other. Good. And then release the heels softly towards the floor. Nice. One more time, pulling up through the low belly. Come up on the tippy toes of your feet. Big toe mounds anchor in. So you're actually squeezing your shins in and then pulling your inner thighs wide. There should be that feeling of, I'm not sure which one is supposed to be dominant. And then let the heels drop down because they're supposed to be equal with each other. Nice. Left foot steps forward between the hands. Good. Right heel comes to 45 degrees, warrior one. Again, you can step the foot a little wider to the right if you need. Arms to the sky. Good. And then you're moving your left rib cage wider. You're moving your left outer hip back in space. Good. So lean forward so that you can really get a sense of, as I lean forward, I free up my back and I free up my pelvis to be able to turn my right hip forward more and pull my left hip back. And then I can bring my left knee forward over the ankle and scoop my low belly and squeeze my feet towards each other. So you have to use your glutes, you guys, if you want them to stretch, you have to use them. So squeeze your feet, feel your glutes. And then from your belly, start to rise up, come back up to vertical. Can't get around it. Back thigh continues to pull up and away, but squeeze the feet towards each other. Nice. One more long breath. From your hip to your armpit, from your heel up through your armpits. Good. And then spin the back heel up to high lunge. You can wiggle the legs a little longer if you need to. Arms out wide, cactus arms, bent elbows. Good. Don't let those elbows fall lower than your armpits though. So you want the tops of your shoulders to be in a straight line. So try to get that sense. And then twist to your left towards that front leg. Good. And then once you found the twist, stretch your arms out to straight, still moving deeper into the twist if you can. Back thigh pulls up. So Calliope, back thigh up, up, up. Ken, back thigh up, up, up. Good. And then right hand touches down to the floor. Left arm to the sky, spinal twist. And that right hand on the floor means you push into those fingers, roll that right shoulder back, and then stack your left rib cage higher. So move open more. Nice, Alice. Nice, Mark. Nice, Kristen. Good, Lynn and Tom. Good, Nancy. And then release that hand down to the floor. Nicely done, you guys. Drop the back knee, please. Shift back. Right hip is over the right knee. Left leg comes forward to straight. Come up on the heel. And you can use blocks here if you need, absolutely. Both hands inside the front foot. Good. Walk a little bit more towards that upper right-hand corner of your mat. Yeah. And remember here, you guys, the forward fold is initiated by your pelvis. So if your pelvis, the front of your pelvis, the top of your pelvis is not tilting forward towards the floor, you're going to miss a lot of the actual stretch on your hamstrings. And it's just going to be pulling on that lower part that is behind the knee. We want the stretch to be more up in the back, more up in where your butt actually is. So try to initiate that forward fold from the tip of your pelvis. Right? So your tail is going backwards and the top of your pelvis is moving forward towards the floor. Good. And then turn those left toes in, and left butt cheek wide, wide, wide. Yeah, exaggerate it. Good. And then notice that the more you exaggerate it, you're going to actually turn your right hip, the hip that's supporting you is going to turn with you. So try and keep that hip facing straight ahead. Push that right inner thigh wide, but still turn your left toes in. Good. Interconnectedness, right? I don't have to change or I don't have to shift everything that I am because you're next to me, but I can stay in that open acceptance. Open acceptance means I get out of my own narrowness. Scoop your belly a lot, round your back. Drag that left heel down and back. Good. And then start to bring that left hip back and in. Keep pushing the inner thigh wide. Let your toes come back up. Keep your belly scooped. And then send both sit bones straight back behind you and wide again. Keep your belly scooped. Keep the back rounded. Good. So you're really focusing just on that stretch through the hamstrings and through your butt. Nice. And then walk yourself back in. Good job, you guys. Take that left heel back. Good. Back to lunge. Lift the back knee, downward facing dog. Beautiful. Bend your knees a lot, please, in your down dog. Send your butt back in space. And then cat-cow your spine, knees bent. Nice. Virginia, if you can, bring your hips back a little bit more towards your heels. Good. Good, you guys. I want to see your pelvis moving. Your pelvis should tilt with every breath. Again, this idea that you are initiating your back bending, you're initiating your forward folding from your pelvis. This is really seriously the best way to get that area, your butt, your glutes, your hamstrings, to stay in that open place. Is you've got to move from your pelvis, not from your ribs. Good. Come back to stillness, please. Pull your butt back more. Drop your hips lower, up on their tippy toes. Drop your hips towards your heels. Pull your ribs in. Drop your butt. Yeah. Good. And then scoop again. Pull your butt high to the sky. Come up on the tippy toes again. Squeeze hands and feet towards each other. And then let your heels soften towards the floor. Nice job. Right foot steps forward between the hands. Lunge. Good. Walk your fingertips straight ahead. My God. Standing split is the words. Good. So left leg comes parallel to the floor. Right leg holds you. Hands can be on blocks. Nice. And again, I want you to round your back. So push your fingertips into the floor or your blocks, whatever you're using, and round your ribs. Yep. So pull your ribs in, pull your low belly in and up. So you're pulling your belly up off of your thigh. Good. And then bend your right knee. That's your standing leg. Yeah. And as you bend that knee, scoop that belly again, turn just a little bit more to your right. So again, you're pulling that right belly up off of the thigh. You're sending your left baby toe down. Good. Stay rounded. Push into your hands. And then straighten that right thigh again. Good. Same thing. Bend that right knee. Keep your hands wherever they are. Keep your ribs rounded and scooped. Good. Watch your knees pointing towards second toe. Straighten the leg by pushing your butt to the sky. That's it. One more time. Bend your knee. Stay there this time. Belly is rounded. Look forward. Start to lift your torso up into warrior 3 with the bent standing leg. It's easier with the knee bent, I promise. I know. You have to use your glutes. Just a little bit. Good. If you've got that balancing warrior 3, straighten the standing leg. Really good. And then release the hands back to the floor, standing split. Awesome. And then release the left foot alongside the right, standing forward fold. Nice job. Separate your feet so that they're underneath your hips. Good. A little too wide there, Alice, so just underneath your hips. Bend your knees, fingertips on the floor. Good. Round your back. So now it's like you're in chair. Round your back. But keep your hips low. Drop your head. Yep. Good. And then fingertips stay where they are. Big toe mounds root down. Scoop your belly. Push your butt to the sky. Keep your knees the same distance apart. So push the inner knees wide, but hug your shins. That's your big toe mounds rooting. Again, bend the knees. Drop your hips like you're in chair, but keep your fingers on the floor or blocks. Good. Inner knees wide. Hug your shins. Scoop your belly. Push your hips to the sky, but keep your knees wide. Good. Knees do not lock back. One more time, bend your knees, drop back towards chair, scoop your belly. Good. And then press the hips back to the sky. I know Tom just wants to be in full chair. He's like, forget this forward folding nonsense. Good, you guys. And then step the right leg back behind you. So left leg is forward. You got it. Fingertips walk forward just a little bit, standing split. Is this the same side we just did? No, okay, just making sure. I'm here, I'm present, I really am. Good, you guys. Bend your standing knee, please. Yep, so same thing you just did in chair, you're just doing it one-legged here, right? So scoop your belly, turn those right baby toes down towards the floor, lift your left low belly up off of your thigh. Press into your fingertips. So your hands are not just there to keep you from falling on the floor. They're there to actually get you more into the strength of your shoulders. Nice. Straighten the left thigh. Still in standing split. Kick that right thigh higher. Bend the knee again. Good. Send that right hip forward, top of your left hip back. Watch that left knee is pointing at second toe. Straighten the thigh again. Don't let that knee waver. Keep it pointing in the same place. Retraining that outer hip. Third time, bend the knee, stay there. Knee points at second toe, top of the thigh, top of the hip moves wide. Lift the arms up towards warrior 3. Hands can be at your hips if you need. Hands can reach back behind you, or they can be straight out. Good. Scoop that belly. And then once you've found your balance, straighten the thigh. Nice. Both of my Susans. Awesome, you guys. And then release the hands back down to the floor, standing split, don't give up. I know. And then release that right foot alongside the left, standing forward fold. Good job. Separate your feet as wide as your mat. Turn your toes out, come on down, squat for a moment. Good. Squeeze your knees towards your elbows. As you squeeze in, again, try and find that subtle rounding of your lower back. So pull the low belly in. Yeah. And then feel how that allows you to maybe drop your sit bones a little bit lower. So you're not pushing your sit bones down, but by squeezing the knees, scooping your belly, maybe you can just allow your spine to lengthen. You can allow your lower back to get longer towards the floor. Good. That squeezing of the knees is important because it activates your hips. So if your hips are tight, getting those muscles awake means that you're actually going to make space in the joint. Good. Last breath. Hands to the floor, please. Straighten the legs, turn the toes forward, and bow. Nice. Heel toe your feet a little closer. Step that right, actually no, stay where you are, standing forward fold. Bring your hands to your hips, come all the way up to stand. Change my mind. Bring your right knee up and towards your chest. Squeeze in. Good. Interesting to notice here, if your heel likes to slide in at an angle towards the midline of your mat, try and draw your heel a little bit wider. So Harriet, I just watched you do it. Good job. Good. So knee and ankle in true line with each other. Awesome. And then take that right thigh over top of your left, please, wrapping the legs for eagle. So the inner thigh and the outer shin come to touch. Bend your left knee. Good. And then as you're bending the knees, pull the top of your right hip back again. Yeah. And then left arm comes over top of right in front of your chest. Wrap the arms as well. Good. And then round your back, bring your elbows down to meet your knees. Squeeze those outer shins, especially. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And then drop your butt a little lower and then lift up, bring the shoulders up back towards vertical as you can get. So shoulders up, 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 belly in and up, up, up. Nice, Nancy. Awesome. Nice, Jessica. And then slowly unwind, come all the way out. Good job. Inhale the arms to the sky. Good. Interlace your fingers, press heels of the hands up towards the sky. Good. Send the tops of your thighs back so that you're not pushing forward through your pelvis. Draw your low ribs in so that you're not pushing forward through your ribs. Good. Drag your armpits down even as you press up through the arms. Nice, Laura. One more breath. Push through the crown of the head, push through the arms, push down through the legs. And then release the hands, please. Eagle pose, second side, left knee comes in towards your chest. And then pause for a moment because it's interesting to notice if your heel has that tendency to turn in, right? That's an indication outer hip and thigh are a little tight, so your heel likes to go in. Move it wide. Good. And then go ahead and cross the left leg over top of the right, wrapping the inner thigh and the outer shin. Bend your right knee. Good. So you still got to use your glutes. You got to draw that low belly in and up. And then right arm comes over top of left in front of the chest. Wrap the forearms if you can. Good. And then look for vertical first. So you're dropping your tail. You're drawing back through your low belly. Challenge the tightness of your lower back. And then round. Bring your elbows forward towards your knees and pull that belly in and back. Again, you're challenging, but you're doing it from the lowest part of your pelvis. Good. Nice, nice, nice. And then as you come low, you can maybe even bend your knees a little bit more, drop your butt a little bit more, and then stay there and lift your ribs again. Lift your shoulders again. Find vertical, but don't come out of that deep bend of your legs. Squeeze. Chest up, ribs in. Ribs in, ribs in, ribs in. Good. And then unwind it. Nice job, Victoria. You saved it. Good. And then inhale the arms up to the sky. I know you need to do hula hoop hips. Interlace your fingers, press heels of the hands to the sky. Good. And same thing, press down through your legs, reach up through the arms, but drag those armpits down so that you have that lift coming from your chest. Good. Crown of the head lifts. Variation on Tadasana, right? Press through the arms, press through the hands. And consider that as you reach down and you reach up, how is it that you are touching the world in this moment? And how is it that the world, the other beings in this world are touching you? And not from the place of your mind of what you think about them and what you feel about them, but from that loving place of what does it mean to be in the same space together? Full acceptance. And then release the hands back down to heart center. Good. Why? Because it's nice. And then release the hands down to the floor, standing forward fold. Meditation, coming back to that awareness of the heart. Because we can often think of it as being a place that is so far away from our human experience, right? That my spiritual self, my true self, my meditative self has nothing to do with what's going on in front of me. And that's true. And at the same time, it's the complete blueprint for, or the foundation for everything that you do that's in front of you. Step your right leg back behind you just enough so that both feet can be flat and the legs can be straight, Parsvottanasana. Use blocks under the hands if you need. Right, so that loving place is not somewhere that's far away. The loving place is what's underneath your mind. So we meditate to get to that feeling, to cultivate that feeling that this is really the way that I can be in the world. I'm really allowed to feel this way. I don't have to go to my mind that wants to make enemies out of everyone. Squeeze that left hip back and in, you guys. And then come up on the heel of that front foot. Drag it down and pull back. which means you got to lift through the back of your pelvis more. You got to push your butt up towards the sky. Nice. And then that back thigh is pulling really far back and wide. Good. And you're rounding into your back. Push into your hands. Good. Right? Be in the world completely, but be in the world with the sense that you are adding love, not something else. Good. And then release that foot flat to the floor, please. Nice. Bend the front knee again. Walk your fingertips straight ahead, standing split. Good. Turn those right toes down, down, down. Scoop into that low belly. Right hand stays on the floor. Left hand comes to your left hip. Good. Start to turn your belly to the left. Again, watch that that standing knee doesn't fall in or out. And then if you want, left arm comes all the way to the sky. Revolved Ardha Chandrasana. Draw your throat back. Nice, Lynn. Good, Crystal. One more breath. Nice, Calliope. And then release the hand down to the floor, please. Step back, nice long lunge. Good, drop that back knee, please. Both hands inside the front foot. Flex the foot, drop onto the baby toe edge. Let your knee go wide. And then scoop your belly again, round your back. So as you round your back, you can lift your hip points up. That's the front of your pelvic bones. Lift them up, away from the floor. Tail drops, front of the pelvis lifts up. So it's like you're scooping that left butt cheek under, and then move your pelvis forward a little bit more. Not just your hands, your whole pelvis. More, more, more. Yeah, your knee's gonna bend more. Yes, bring it forward, bring it forward, bring it forward, like you're pretending you're gonna go into pigeon. Good, but you stay rounded. Nice. Awesome, you guys. Walk yourself back in, please. Take that foot back to the floor, and then start to stack that right hip on top of the right knee. Take the left leg forward to straight. Come back to Ardha Hanumanasana. Up on the heel. This is what happens when you start obsessing about your hamstrings. You do this pose a lot. Good. Drawing the toes back, press down through the heel, drag back. Remember, you are initiating from your pelvis. So the top of your pelvic bones have to tip forward towards the floor. Your tail goes back. Nice. Walking the hands forward any amount. And then optional here, if you'd like, go ahead and start to bring the right hand either to just the inside of that left foot, left leg, or to the outside for a twist. So the right hand is going to settle in, the right forearm is going to settle in close to that left leg, either to the inside or the outside. Outside is a little bit deeper twist. Good, so you're turning your belly, push your inner thighs wide, left arm comes to the sky or to your hip. Good. Tricky because as you turn your ribs, you have to stay super stable in your pelvis. Drag back on that heel, push the inner thighs wide. Awesome. Nice, Dana. Nice, Tom. Good, Alice. Good, Andy. And then release. Nice, Sarah. Good, you guys. Drag that heel back in, please. Lift the back knee, downward facing dog. Awesome. Slide forward to plank pose, lower down slow, coming through knees first if you need. On your belly, bend both knees, kick your heels in towards your butt. Keep your hands where they are for in cobra preparation. Draw those thighs down, draw your knees down, but squeeze the heels in. And then bring the front of your pelvis forward and up. So already try and find that length on your lower spine. So your pelvic bones are lifting forward and up off of the floor. And then drag your hands back, lift head, neck, and chest. Come into cobra with the knees bent. Good. So you're pressing down through the thighs and you're initiating, again, lifting from the front of your pelvis to create that back bend. Good. Drag the hands back. Awesome. Nice, Dana. Nice, Crystal. And then release, please. Downward facing dog. I like doing cobra like that because it doesn't let you lie to yourself about the state of your hip flexors. Down dog. Good. Right foot steps forward. Left foot steps forward just a little bit. Both legs come to straight. Should be the second side. If it's not, someone yell at me. I can't hear you, but wave a hand. Good. Parsvottanasana. Again, use what's underneath your hands as not just support that's keeping you from falling to the floor, but something that is giving you another sense that if I push into my hands and I use my arms, it's going to create strength and awareness in my shoulders. And that strength and awareness in my shoulders, in my upper back, has the ability to free my lower back, right? Interconnected. Your body is not made of separate pieces that just happen to be strung together. They're interconnected. The same thing that we're talking about on a spiritual level is that the world is not put together with a bunch of beings that were not designed to be together. They're interconnected. So wherever you can have a greater sense of awareness, this is how I'm relating to and touching this other being's world, because their world is just as real as yours is. Their desires are just as real as yours, just as meaningful. So the more you can touch their world and have them touch yours with that underlying acceptance and love, then we're in a more peaceful place, even if it's a mosquito and we're still going to smack them dead, right, for biting us. The thing is that we don't waver from that place inside of us. So that's who we really live as, not just as the mind that says you're an enemy and therefore your pain is okay. Come up on the heel of that front foot. Right? Watch how often that happens in your mind, that you say it's okay if so-and-so is in pain because blah, 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 whatever my rationale is. Their world is just as important as yours because it's the same world. Scoop that belly, you guys. Drag that butt even higher. Good. And then relax that foot back to the floor. Beautiful. Bend the front knee, walk your hands forward, step up, standing split. Watch that knee that it's pointing still towards the second toe. Again, if your hips are tight, there's going to be that tendency for the hip and the knee to turn in, and that leg that's in the air is going to swing towards the midline of your mat. So push that left thigh a little wider. Good. And then pull the top of your right hip back, 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 back. Good, Calliope. Even more, bring it back. Good. And then left hand stays where it is. Right hand comes to your right hip. Start to turn your belly. So this will also help you bring that top of that right thigh back. Good. And then either keep the hand there or bring the arm up to the sky for that full revolved Ardha Chandrasana. Push into that hand that's on the ground. Good. Stack your rib cage. So Lisa B, turn your chest open more. Susan, both my Susans, good job. Good. Good, you guys. Release that hand down to the floor, please. Beautiful. Step all the way back. Nice long lunge. Nice. And then drop the back knee. Both hands come to the inside of your front foot. Flex that right foot a lot. Drop onto the baby toe, so let your knee go wide. And again, I'm purposefully doing this instead of pigeon because I want you to be in a place where you're still really in control of your pelvis, that you're not just asking the floor to do the work for you. So with your hands where they are, you're pushing into your hands, scoop your belly, round your back, all the way down to the base of your belly, round. So you're pulling your hip points up. Good. And then that scooping of your sit bones, then you can bring your whole pelvis forward like you're coming into Anjaneyasana deeper. So your pelvis moves forward. That knee is going to move forward. Your back thigh is going to get a little bit straighter, but you're still pulling up through the lowest part of your belly. So again, you're challenging the hip flexors if they're tight. You're getting into that conscious ability to pull that right sit bone in, send that top of your left hip forward. Good. And then go deep like you're going to drop into pigeon, but don't. The pelvis goes a little bit deeper, but your belly stays lifted. And then relax your shoulders because your shoulders have nothing to do with making it easier on your hips. They help support the openness of your back, but having them tense doesn't make it easier. Walk yourself back up. Nice job. Take that right foot back to flat. Good. Move your hips back so your left hip is on top of your left knee. Take that right leg forward to straight. Come up on the heel. Ardha Hanumanasana. Good. If you want to do that, turning the toes in first, you absolutely can, but then bring the toes back up. Send your inner thighs wide. Initiate from your pelvis. So your tail goes up and back, but the front of your pelvis tilts forward. Good. And then both hands can come to the inside of the front foot if you'd like, or just bring that left hand to the inside of the shin or right to the outside for the twist if you're going for the twist. So left forearm, left shin come together. My God, left forearm, right shin. It's the leg that's in front. Right hand comes to your right hip, wherever that left hand finds itself planted. Turn the belly to your right. And then maybe that right hand stays where it is on the hip, or go ahead, take it up to the sky. You got to draw that right hip back and in, and then send your groins back. Both inner thighs push wide. Nice, Andy. Nice, Jessica. Good, Laura. Nice, Harriet. Awesome. Release. Nice, Mark. Bring the hands back down. Drag that right heel back and in. Lift the back knee, downward facing dog. Good. Slide forward to plank pose, please. Lower down slow, coming through knees first if you need. Bend the knees again, kick your heels in towards your butt. Hands alongside the ribs, press those thighs down. Drag the hands back, rise up cobra, but keep dragging those heels down, or dragging those thighs down. Good. From the front of your pelvis, lift forward and up. Nice. And release back to your belly, please. Good, you guys. Flip over onto your backs. Let's see, Melanie, I can't see you anymore, but I'm positive what you're doing is beautiful. There you are. Good. Onto your backs, please. Bend your knees, plant your feet. Arms alongside you. Good. You're coming in and out of bridge. So as you inhale, you're lifting your hips up, stretching the arms up alongside your ears, far enough your hands find the floor behind you. Drag those heels back though, so you're still pulling your knees towards the tips of your toes. And then drop the hips down again, release the hands down back where you started on your exhale. And then keep going like that, inhaling, lifting the hips, but dragging back on your heels. Good, and then exhaling, releasing the hips, pulling your butt towards your heels. So again, that subtle action is what's going to not only use your hamstrings and your glutes, but it's also what's going to allow them to relax in a more easeful place. Good. All right, so that's part of the mind that just wants things to feel a certain way. It doesn't necessarily think about the whole picture of how you get there. So I know if a muscle is tight, the last thing that you want to do is do more with it. But when it's tight, often what happens is it gets tight in a position that is not optimal, that's not ideal for your structure. So you have to wake it up. And then once it's awake again and it can move back into a better position, that's the point of the yogic postures, is to move yourself into a more ideal position. Then when it relaxes again, or you stretch it, it can be in a state of ease. It's why we practice. It's to bring everything that is your conscious awareness into a place where it's optimal for you to drop into that loving experience and stay there. Good. Melanie, just bring those knees a little closer towards each other so that when you come up, there's less pushing through the top of you. That's it. Perfect. Less pushing. Awesome. Good, you guys. Next time your hips find the floor, let them rest there. Good. Very brief, constructive rest. But I want you to pay attention to, as you're lying on your back, do you have equal weight on both sides of your sacrum? If you don't, try to move your weight so that you balance where things are a little bit light. And can you imagine that the tops of your thighs, your thigh bones are actually melting down into your hip socket, that gravity is actually pulling your thighs in. Gravity is pulling the front of your ribs down so that the back of your ribs just melt and get wide on the floor. Do that with your breath, that your breath is actually widening your back rib cage on the floor. Good. And can you be with the beingness of others? Wherever your mind is hanging on to this idea of, because I feel this way or I think this way about you, that I cannot see that your world is just as important and necessary and real as my own. And that the way that my world and your world touch is what determines whether we are friends or enemies. And that's not the things that you and the other are doing, it's the things that you and the other are sending to each other, the amount of acceptance. You can disagree from a loving place. You can take action always from a loving place. You can hold boundaries from a loving place. That's the first quote, tending your garden. Release the hold, please. Bring your knees in towards your chest. Good. And then scoop your belly, lift head, neck, and chest. Bring your forehead towards your knees. And as you lift up, I want you to really hollow. So even here, I want you to try and draw in and push back through your back rib cage so you get more almost stretch through your upper back. Good. And then keep your right knee where it is, but extend your left leg out at an angle towards the floor. Any angle, as low as you want to go. But squeeze that left thigh up and in so you're not dropping it completely. And then stay lifted with the shoulders and switch. Bring your left knee in, stretch your right leg out. Watch that you're going straight out from the hip. It's not wavering in or out. Good. And then switch again, right knee in, left leg out. Stay hollow through your ribs. And then switch again. Watch that the legs are tracking straight in line with your hip. Mark, just watch that your toes stay pointing straight up. One more time, switch to the right leg. Very nice. One more time, switch to the left. Awesome. Bring both knees in. Don't give up. And then relax the shoulders. Beautifully done. Let the feet come back to the floor, please. Separate your feet as wide as your mat. Drop your knees to the right. Yeah, arms can go wide to cactus arms or up overhead, whatever feels fantastic to you. If you'd like to place your right ankle on top of your left knee, your left thigh, you're welcome to do that. Good. And you're still relaxing the back of that left rib cage down to the floor as much as you can. Interconnected. Even a mosquito has desires. And if we can see the world from their perspective, then maybe it allows us to relate to them in a way that is not based just on the pain that we have felt. Because that's what happens. Our perspective gets narrow because of the pain that we have felt. And so we place others in our life as a way to deal with that pain. Whether it's protection or it's projection, I don't know. There's a lot of terms for how that works. But we narrow our world. So meditation, yoga, the practice is to widen again, to come back to not your mind's way of seeing things, but the heart's ability to accept that other worlds, other beings exist right alongside you. And you can be with them in a loving way. Come back to center, please. Feet flat. Pause for a moment. Again, see if you can find both weight equal on your sit bones, on the sides of your sacrum. And then move to the other side, dropping your knees to the left. Again, you can change the arms if you'd like or stay where you are. Left ankle comes on top of right thigh. So your freedom helps you to contribute to the world. What does that mean? Your freedom, the ability to go beyond your mind. Your love gives you the means to interact with the world. You have to tend the garden. You can't just sit. You can't have your meditation be a practice of isolating yourself from the world and thinking that there's that magical place that you can go to where the rest of the world doesn't exist, where other beings don't exist. It's the opposite. Those deep states of meditation is where you disappear, not the rest of the world. That concept of I disappears and there's just the beingness. So you can practice that while you're awake. You can practice that while you're going about your day. Be with other beings. Bring yourself back up to center, please. Good. Draw the knees in towards your chest. Good. Cross your right thigh over top of your left. Separate the feet. Reach for your ankles or shins. Flexed feet. Good. Drawing the knees in towards your chest, but then pushing out through your sit bone. So finding that lowest place of your low back, pressing down to the floor. So again, your thigh creases are getting deeper. You pull in as much as you can, and then you push back out through the back of your sacrum. Good. So Ken, if the knees can cross more, let them cross more. Melanie, if the knees can cross more, let them cross more. There you go. Nice. Good. And then bring the shins together, please. So the legs are crossed just like they are. Bring the shins together. Yep. So that your legs are in eagle, but don't double wrap the ankles. Good. And then left arm over top of right in front of your chest. You're doing eagle pose on your back. Move your knees just a little bit further away from your belly. So again, you find your lower back on the floor. Keep your shins parallel to the floor. Don't let them drop. Good. Nice, Virginia. Good, Sarah. Deep breath in. Exhaling, bringing your elbows and your knees towards each other. Again, like you are hollowing and getting wide and broad through the back body. Good. Draw your shoulders down here, you guys, but you're still lifted. I know. And then go ahead and release, please. Keep the legs crossed, stretch your arms out wide, scoot your butt over to the right, drop your legs to the left, spinal twist with the legs wrapped. If your knees don't like that, unwind and just stack the knees on top of each other. Good. And draw the low belly in, push back through your sacrum. Beautiful. And then come back up to center, please, unwinding the legs. Good. Cross the left leg on top of the right. Separate your feet, reach for your ankles, or feet, or shins, or knees, whatever you can reach. Good. And same thing, as the knees draw in towards the chest, you are pushing back and out through the sacrum. So there's a little bit of abdominal work that has to happen, a little bit of awareness. Good. Practice viewing the world, the experience of the world, not just from your mind, but from the experience of another being. What are their desires? What does the world look like to them? And how does your place in it look different from their perspective than it does from your own? Bring your shins together, please. Good. So again, pressing the shins together in the eagle. Right arm on top of left. So it should be the opposite arm on top or closest to your face than the leg that's on top. So right arm on top of left. Good. Don't let the hands fall onto your face. So lift that up. Find the wideness of your back body, of your shoulders on the floor. Move your knees a little further away from your belly. So again, you find your lower back. Good. And then a deep breath. And then exhale, bring your elbows and your knees to meet each other. Squeeze in. Good. Keep your shins hugging. Hollow your belly. Get wide through the back of your shoulders. Relax your shoulders down away from your ears. Long throat, but stay lifted. Awesome. And then slowly release. Arms go wide, keep the legs crossed if you can. Scoot the hips over to the left, drop your knees to the right. And again, if your knees or your back does not appreciate twisting in this way, unwind the legs, stack the knees on top of each other. That space of the heart, when we say that you can be with others in a loving way, it doesn't mean you have to love everything about them in that personal way. But it means that there is a complete acceptance for their way of being as necessary as your own. You hold a deep respect for it. Even if you don't completely agree or understand the way that it is happening in the moment, you hold a deep respect for that being's world because it's the same as your own. They are the same as you. Even you are the mosquito. Unwind your legs, come back to center. Squeeze the knees in towards your chest. Bring your forehead up to meet your knees, hug. Do a little rolling on your spine if you'd like, forward and back, side to side. Good. And then relax the shoulders, please. Last pose, knees wide, happy baby. Lift the hips. Not the hips, sorry, lift the heels. Feet go up, hips stay on the ground. Good. Knees nice and wide, shins hug in. And then melt. Don't pull the legs down, but don't stop them. Just let the thighs melt into the hip socket. Let your lower back get broad. Let your shoulders get broad. Good. And then slowly bring the knees back in. Stretch the legs out in front of you, finding your way into Shavasana. Opportunity to let yourself drop into, again, the space that is below your mind. That is the heart's way of viewing your experience of living. And the same deep respect that you would hold for other beings, you have to extend that same deep respect to yourself. This is tending your own garden. Be with the beingness of others. Very gently bring the awareness back to your breath, letting the body begin to stretch and move in whatever ways serve it well. And as you're ready, bring the knees in towards your chest and roll to your right side. Taking a moment there before you begin to push the floor away and come back to an upright seated position. Bringing the hands together in front of the heart center, palm to palm, or whatever mudra has been serving you well. In Zen, they say there are only two things: you sit and you sweep the garden. And it doesn't matter how big the garden is. As you quiet your mind and listen to your heart, you discover that your spirit will not be satisfied unless you also tend the garden. Add your voice and energy, plant seeds for a more compassionate future. You can't change it all, but your freedom empowers you to contribute to the world, and your love gives you the way to do so. It's important that you sit. It's important that you cultivate an awareness of what it's like to be with another being, just in yourself. And it only has to be one. Practice with one. And then it's equally important that you bring that out into the world. That's tending the big garden. Because if we don't do that, if you don't share that lovingness with other beings, then you're keeping it from yourself. That's what it means to be interconnected. If you can't share it, it means that you're keeping it from yourself. So it's important to sit, and it's important to share. So you have to bring that inner awareness, that loving kindness, that loving presence, you have to bring it out into the world. Your spirit will not be satisfied otherwise. It's the teachings of yoga, that's the teaching of every spiritual tradition. So you sit to cultivate it, and then you open your eyes and you live it. So practice being with other beings. And choose maybe ones that are not human, but that are challenging. Meditate on a mosquito. Very enlightening. We'll close with the sound of Om. Deep breath in. Sliding the thumbs up to the space between the eyebrows. Namaste, everybody. Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your day, great rest of your weekend. Reminder, the new schedule is happening as of last week. So if you're coming to class tomorrow, Sunday class with me is at 9:30 now instead of 10, 9:30 a.m. And then we are going to do pranayama and meditation afterwards. Just everything is moved up a half an hour. Okay. So just remember that. Take a look at the new schedule if you haven't seen it. If you are unsure, unclear, some of you haven't been here for a while about the new sign-in process. We're not using Mind Body anymore. So everything is, we want you to subscribe on the new website and download the Wix app, W-I-X. And then there's an invite code that we can give you that links that with Naturally Yoga. You do all of your signing into classes through Wix or through the website. No more Mind Body. Okay. So if that's not what you did today, no problem.